Hey, everybody. Dane Clement here. I'm an executive creative director for Stalls. I used to have Great Dane Graphics, so I've been doing artwork in our industry for 30 plus years. And boy, has DTF taken over the world. I think it's like the only decorating method out there, well, except UV, right? We just saw that. What I'm going to do, I get asked a lot, right? Hey, uh, Aaron, I will see you in at Dax next week because I got two classes over there too. On Friday, I have harnessing AI for artwork, and I have 10 steps of DTF printing, which is all encompassing for DTF printing, but majorly focused on the art piece of it. Because hey, I am the art guy, right? Uh, Knowing that, let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's get busy. So actually, you can find me, by the way, at daneclement.com, right? Or you can find me in a Stalls booth. You can have a hard time finding me on Stall's website, though. But daneclement.com, you can get a hold of me. Let me share my screen. Let's get this thing going here. So I've been asked many times when I show artwork for DTF. First of all, if you're new to DTF artwork and you're trying to get things printed really nice, the best thing you can do is open that transfer up like quite a bit to the shirt color. We don't always have that luxury. Sometimes we have to do one image and one design, and it's got to be able to be smashed down on all the colors in the world, right? So that's where it's a limiting factor, and you might have a heavier hand than you would otherwise like to. I think my last video, if I remember right, I think I did a black background, which is of course everything looks cooler on black, but this looks pretty wicked on red. This is how I work to get my artwork off. Of course, this is mid-journey generated, right? I could have painted it; it would have taken me way, 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 way longer. If you're not using AI artwork, you want to. It's time to get busy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a transfer artwork, right? Basically from this image. This is my workflow process. So here we go. I'm gonna grab my background layer here, and I'm just gonna duplicate it, just because I'm old school and I've been using Photoshop since before they had layers. That became a habit, and I still do it. So now my next move is I'm going to go to select menu, and I'm going to come down to color range, right? So what I want to do is I want to select the color. So if I clicked back, which I just did here, I clicked back here in my red because that's the color I'm trying to remove out of my image, right? Now, here's the weird thing. This fuzziness slider is the amount of information we're going to grab, the color that we're looking for where we clicked. It's how much more of that color are we going to use. So if I move this slider, take a look at my image here, right? You'll see as I push it, I don't know, say 125. And as I go further and further, you can kind of see it's reaching into the image itself. So this is where you're going to have to do some playing. So depending on your artwork, right? So typically I'm going to start at 100. And when we finish this guy up and we wrap it up, I'm going to bring a slide over and I'm going to show you what it actually looks like finished at 100, 125, 150, and 200, right? Of this slider. So it makes sense when you see it. Couple of things, right? So in this image, it is a red background, but it's not a solid red background. So you can see down here, we got some gray information. And if I turn, watch me cancel that. That's because the red is more of a yellowy, orangey red there, but the majority of it is darker red, right? So I'll show you how we handle that in a minute. So I'm going to come down color range and I'm going to click back here and there we go. I'm going to leave it at 100 for now because that's a really good point to start with. And I'm going to hit OK and we get these marching ants, right? So I'm going to create a new layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to inverse my selection. So select inverse, right? And I'm going to come back down to my artwork layer. Now, if I hit Command J or Control J on your PC, it'll take that artwork off that background, right? And put it on a transparent layer. So we almost have something here. Now, what I'm going to do at this point, so I have a new layer here, right? So if I select by holding my Command or Control key and if you see my cursor down here, I'm mousing over my image, the little preview icon there. And when I click it, it selects everything that's on that layer, right? So I get these marching ants. So now on my new layer here, if I go to I can hit the D key on my keyboard. It's going to give me my default colors over there on the left-hand side to black. And I need to fill this selection with black, right? So I'm going to do that. And I'll deselect it now. Turn off my artwork back here. So right now, this is black and white. And the reason I need to do this is because we're going to create halftones. And in order to do halftones, you got to get to the bitmap mode, right? So I'm in RGB right now because it's full color. We need to take that RGB file into a grayscale file first, then into and make some adjustments because of that background here, and then into the bitmap mode. So this is how we do it. First thing, or next thing I would do is I'm going to go to my image here, and I'm going to duplicate my image. And I'm not naming it. I'm just going to steal a body part out of it, basically. So that looks pretty good, right? So I duplicate it. I go to mode now, and I'm going to come down to grayscale, and it's going to say, hey, you're going to get rid of all the colors you want to merge. Hit merge, hit discard, and now it's a grayscale image. But we got to do one thing. If you see stuff like this in the background, this is a better place to make that adjustment. So I'm going to flatten this image. So I'm gonna go to my little hamburger menu on my layers, and I'm gonna come down to flatten image. And then you see that how much gray. We got some all the way over here, and it goes up to about right here, right? So this is what I'll do. I'm gonna hit my L key to get my lasso tool, and I just want to kind of capture all that stuff. So by holding my Alt key or the Option key, right, I can kind of mouse it around like this. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to select, right, the part that I want to make an adjustment to. So which is this all this background area. If I select it and make an adjustment right now, we're probably going to notice that adjustment here where it crosses over some of those gray values. But if I do the select menu and come in and modify my selection, I'm going to feather it out. I got 12 pixels here. I'm going to hit OK. I just want to make sure it's a soft edge so it's not as noticeable. You're still going to see it there. So now if I go to image menu, adjustments, levels, and I pull back my whites right here. See, this is my shadows, midtones, and highlights. So as I pull it back, look, it just goes away there, right? So all the stuff back here is now gone. So I can hit OK to that. I can deselect this, and then now we can take this image into my bitmap. So if I go to image mode, bitmap, right, we get this window. Now I want my output to be 300 pixels because this artwork is 300 pixels, and I want a high res file, so we got a good clean transfer here. I want to choose halftone here. I don't remember where this defaults to Photoshop. I think it's diffusion dither maybe, but we want a halftone screen. I'm going to hit OK to that, and then we get this second window. These are the numbers that I use, and I have great success with my DTF transfers. I use a frequency of 20. Now that's a big halftone dot, right? I remember back in the day, early 90s, maybe when we were trying to create cool black shirt artwork, we use a 32 line halftone, and that was really big. Today, if you're a screen printer, you're probably used to 45s, 55, 65 line halftones. Well, this is way coarser than that, right? But it needs to be because that dot needs to have enough surface for the white backer print and my adhesive powder, right? And it's got to be printed on a transfer sheet and then literally transfer to the garment. So there's a lot of things involved, a lot of steps, and these numbers make it work or help it work. I use 61-degree angle for all my screen printing stuff. It's just a cool organic angle that I don't notice when you look at it. So I keep it here. And the same thing, I use an elliptical dot shape, always have for screen printing, and I use it for this as well. So I hit OK. And now you can kind of see there. If I zoom in, right, you can see my halftone dots are already there. So now I got to go from bitmap and I got to go back to grayscale. So I go to image mode. I'll go back to grayscale here. This size ratio at 1, that's default. Just hit OK and you can be good to go. So now if I pull down my tab here, right, and I go to my channels, you see it's a gray channel, right? That channel needs to be brought into my working document like this, and I just let it go. And there it is. So we're getting closer to being done. So I'm going to come into my RGB, go to my layers. Now, if I turn on my artwork layer, turn this one off, right? So now my artwork layer is selected. I need to load that channel selection. I need to take that channel that we just created and load it in a selection. So if I go to up here to select menu, load selection, as long as my layer is chosen, my artwork layer, I can choose alpha 1 here. That's because I didn't rename that channel. I just brought it in. And there it is, right? So now, again, on my artwork layer, if I hit Command J or Control J, it gives me my finished artwork, right, with halftones now, and they're solid halftones, and that's the reason you have to go to bitmap. One, to create the halftone, and two, we use that solid channel, so we have each dot is a solid fill dot. Because if these dots were halftoned or transparent, it wouldn't work for us. But I want you to see something. See these little bitty halftones in here? Like these, there's a lot of that going around. And we're going to get rid of a bunch of that stuff pretty much automatic, right? So all right, so I'm just kind of looking around. There's some things out here, but these is definitely one problem. area that we're gonna fix uh, pretty easy. So how do we fix that, right? So here's my artwork layer. If I hold my command key or control key and I again mouse over my image and make that selection, it selects my art. So now if I either go to select menu, I want to modify this selection and contract it by 2 pixels, right? So it just moved it in 2 pixels. Now if I go to select again, modify, and I expand it by 2 pixels, right? So now it just did it grabbed everything that's 2 pixels. Anything smaller, it can't reach, right? So now if I go to select menu and I inverse that, watch what happens. I'm just gonna hit delete, right? Might not have noticed anything, but if I hit Command Z here, see all those little bitty halftones in there, right? And now I'm just gonna hit delete again. It gets rid of those things. Now the reason we want to do that is because those dots were too small to hold on that transfer, right? I can't get a white printer behind it. I can't get my adhesive powder to stick to it. So you want to eliminate all that stuff. So now, for the most part, almost every single one of these dots will be good to go. If you wanted to, let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. Let's take a look. Actually, let me get this, and I'm going to pick a red so we can see what it looks like. Uh, and take my new layer here, put it underneath, and let's just go ahead and fill it with red, right? So that is what my shirt will look like after I use my transfer and smash it down, and this is what my transfer is gonna look like. So you can see how open it is, right? There's a lot of openness in there. There's a lot of guys on YouTube you might have seen that say, "Hey, if you can print on demand, make your T-shirts and all these things, and have it isolated on a white background," which is easy to pull that artwork off. So I do agree with that, and I use it quite a bit. But if it's a color that you're looking for, and if you can design your own artwork and you know what color you're gonna smash it down on, now you got something, right? So now just knowing this, that's the process. That's how I do it. But what I want to do is I want to bring a slide over and I'm going to show you. Remember I mentioned earlier, here is 100. This is one we just created. This is 125, 150, and 200. And what I want you to do is look at the amount of red that is showing through. I think the 200, I mean, it's kind of probably too much, but there's almost nothing to that transfer, right? Except what you see here in white. So these, I mean, I could have probably gone with any of those. So the more you move that fuzziness slider, the more color it's going to reach out and grab and allow you to show it through. So knowing that, again, this is what those transfers look like. And each one of those numbers, as I went further along, just becomes less and less info here, which means a softer handed print. And that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. So that's it. That's all I got. If you want any more information, register at daneclement.com because there I have hours and hours and hours of free information. So register, go check it out. That's how to find me.